Hey y'all, it's your girl J again. Sorry about its lateness. And I did one, but then I felt like you could hear the micro because I'm making empanadas for Spanish classes, extra credit. So get some extra credit. What's good? My grade is already cool in the class, but a little extra credit. You know what I'm saying? Yo estoy haciendo empanadas para mi clase de español. You gotta keep it fresh, y'all. At any point you could be practicing. Anyway, I'm just playing. I'm playing. But I am making empanadas. And you could hear like the micro. So I was just like, I don't want to upload that. Alright. Okay, so sorry. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so this was If Loving Was Wrong, episode 8 for Pete. Okay, so we open up with Julius. This is where we left off last week. And he's smothering his father with the pillow. So I'm thinking, honestly, you guys, I'm like, he not going to go through with it. Like, this is his dad. Because he was kind of looking like, oh, okay, should I pull the pillow? But nah, he was going through it. Was more anger than remorse. So then he's like, until the machine is flatlining. So he must have thought he was, I don't even know. Because the doctors rushed in so quick that Julius pretty much just ran out. The doctors came in. They're like, move. Like, what's going on? And I just thought they were going to try and kind of like grab him. Like, what did you do? What were you doing? But so he runs out when the doctors come in. Vino, the guy who was guarding the door last week, like the family friend, when Julius is running out, he's like, Julius, you need to talk to me. You need to talk to me. Julius is like, get off me. So he runs out still. So I'm guessing Vino and them, they got like a tight relationship. You could kind of tell that from last week. So then Vino, when Julius runs off, he goes into the room where the doctors are at. And he's like, is he good? Like, the doctors are like, yeah, he's fine. He's going to live. Okay. And I will tell you, I think that this was the dumbest thing Julius could have done yet. Because, okay, yeah, you were angry and whatever. And with that tease for next week, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm going to talk about that at the end. Anyway, just, okay, Julius, you want the cartel empire and you want the money. But this is what you do? Like, you didn't think this was going to backfire on you? I don't understand. I can't now, dude. Like, I understand he was blind with rage, but come on. Okay. So then we switch to Lucian. Now he's getting off the elevator. He runs into Andrew. The dude that was kind of being kind of cool. But I didn't like this. I will tell you. I could not stand Andrew for this scene. Because, okay, I get it. Because a couple weeks ago, he was talking to Lucian. And he was like, man, we can't really trust nobody around here. We can't even be telling nobody stuff. Because when he was being all secretive. And Lucian was like, what are you talking about? Because he was like, we can't trust nobody. He was like, who is nobody? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And he's like, I can't even tell you because I don't even know if I could really trust you. Okay, I get it. But he tried to come at Lucian kind of sideways because Lucian got off the elevator. He was like, oh, hey, Andrew, like, what are you doing here? He's like, I work here. And he's like, oh, yeah. And so he's like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm here to see Pete. And he's like, for what? And Lucian is like, what do you mean for what? I'm here to see Pete. And he's like, okay, but for what? He's like, I want to see him. That's my friend. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, okay. Just asking. It's right through those doors. He was like, oh, and by the way, they have a camera in there. I'm like, okay, Andrew, what's he going to do? Like, what do you mean? Now, we know that fake Eddie did give a fake name to Tina. So, do we think maybe she called Andrew and was like some guy named Lucian and that other dude, but that don't really make sense because when they were on the phone, he goes, what does he look like? What does he look? Because that was even before she went over there, but maybe something happened afterwards, but that's dumb because you already know. Because when she was giving a description of Eddie, he goes, what does he look like? She goes, brown hair, white guy. And he's like that's when he was like going there now. So I don't really appreciate Andrew's attitude. Anyway, so when he's like, there's a camera in there, Lucian is like, okay, great, a camera, good. So then he goes through. He sees Ben outside, the room guarding it or whatever. He's like, oh, Ben, you can go. I'm going to take over for the night. I'm going to stay the night. And Ben's like, no, I don't really think that's a good idea or whatever. He's like, no, it's okay. You can go home. I'm just going to stay the night. I'm not going to leave. And then so he's like, I don't really think it's a good idea. I don't really want to get in trouble. He's like, okay, well, you're right. We wouldn't want the captain to think we went against his orders. So we could both stay the night. And, you can tell it wasn't what Ben was expecting because when Lucian said that, he was like, oh, okay, like, you don't have to do that. And then Lucian's like, no, I'm going to stay the night. And then was kind of messing with him a little bit because then he was like, so how's that hand? And it was like that little stare down and he could tell Ben was getting kind of uncomfortable. And he's just looking at him and he did a little smile and then was like, okay. And then so he goes in the room with Pete and he's like, dang it, kid, I wish you would have told me what was on that. Mind you, Ben is still, Pete is still in the coma. And so Lucian comes in, he's like, dang it, kid, I wish you would have told me what was on that disc. Like, but he's like, but don't worry. And Lucian is kind of tearing up, even had the stuff coming out of his nose. And so he's like, that's how you know, really? So, but that's how you know somebody really, and like they crying, you know? So he's like, but I'm gonna get him. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get him. He was like, for you and those other fallen officers that are on that wall at the station, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I promise you that. But and then he went back to it. He was like, dang, kid, I really wish you would have told me. But I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. And he just kept saying it. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. And there was some newfound anger that I'm seeing in Lucian. Okay, because we know Lucian will buck up when she was starting to get real disrespectful, but... Okay, so then we switch outside of the hospital room. We got Eddie coming in. And so Ben is outside the room. He sees... Ben immediately runs up to Eddie. And he's like, Lucian's here, Lucian's here. So Eddie looks in the room. He's like, what? What is he doing here? And he's like, I don't know. He just came in. He said he's staying the night. He won't leave. And then so he's like, what did you do? Like, why is he here? So he's like, you need to figure something out. He's like, what am I going to do? He not going to leave. He not going to leave. He's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And kept asking him. He was like, you so dumb. You can never follow through on anything I ever ask you to do. So then Ben's like, okay, Eddie, like, what are we going to do? So he smacks him. And he's like, stop. He's like, just stop. I'm tired of hearing you say that. I'm tired of hearing you say that. I've had it up to here with you. And just all this, like, he's like his father or something. You know, I've had it up to here and all this. You never come through on anything. I'm sick and tired of it. So then he's got his head down. He's like, okay, Eddie, what are we going to do? He was like, ask me that one more time. I'm going to shoot your hand off. He's like, I've got an idea. Just go get out my face, pretty much. Like, go over there. And, of course, he walks over there like a little puppy dog and just I can't. Like, Ben is witching out on us. Come on. You know? What is Eddie, the Wicked Witch of the South? You know what I'm like, what's going on with you, Ben? Like, we already knew he not the toughest dude. He didn't already shot your hand off. So now you're just going to be tolerating. As soon as he would have been like, I'll shoot your other hand off, that's when I'm like, you know what, I'm tired of this. And we're in the middle of a hospital, so I dare you to touch me. You're not even in your uniform. I have my uniform on. So you're going to be attacking an on-duty officer. All right, so try me if you want. Try me, okay? I'm sorry. All right, I'm calm. The lawyers. Okay, so then we switch to Natalie. Now she's pulling up at Alex's house. As soon as she pulls up, Lucian is calling. She picks up the phone. He's like, Nat, did you find the disc? Did you find it? She's like, no, I can't find it. He's like, come on, Nat, where is it? She's like, I don't know. We're gonna find it. Calm down. So he's like, did you ask the kids yet? She's like, no, I literally just pulled up to Alex's. So he's like, come on, Natalie, hurry up. And she's like, who is you yelling at? Don't be yelling at me. And he's like, I'm not. He's like, okay, I'm not yelling. I just really need you to ask the kids about this disc. And she's like, is it really that important? He's like, Natalie, yes. So she's like, it can't wait till the morning. He's like, no, I need you to go get him up now. She's like, okay, I'll go wake him up. I'm only asking because if I go upstairs to wake up the kids, I'm going to be going to wake up all the kids, not just our kids, but everybody's going to be woken up. So are you sure? He's like, yes, Natalie, come on. She's like, are you sure? So he's already kind of frustrated because he already know I can't yell at her. So he's like, no, you can wait till the morning. She's like, no, I'll go wake him up now because that's what you want. He's like, no, it's okay. Just get him in the morning. She's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, I'll call you in the morning, all right? They hang up the phone. Then we switch to Marcy and Brad. Now, Marcy's getting ready for work. You know, Marcy, of course, looks fabulous. Okay, fabulous. I said work. All right, the dress was a little tight, but all right. She's a working woman. She getting her money appropriately. Okay, no shade. All right. Then we switch to Marcy. Seriously, no shade. Just do. All right. Then we switch to Marcy and Brad. Like, okay, I already said, you know, nice outfit. Okay. So she going to wake him up, and there was some little inappropriate things that I don't really feel comfortable talking about. So I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all gotta go somewhere else for that. It was like some little small parts where she was like, oh wow, do you wake up? Because she was tapping him, and I guess she saw something, and she was like, oh, do all guys wake up like that? So then he's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of a guy thing. She was like, I thought that was like for 12-year-old boys. And he's like, no, it happens to men too. And then she walks away. He's like, oh, are you a little embarrassed? And she's like, no, not embarrassed. Just, it's Alex. He's like, what about Alex? And she goes, you were screaming her name out the entire night. And he's like, me? He's like, no, that can't be true. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't. She's like, no, you were. And she's like, you should go home. He says, I can't. She says, you're crying in your sleep, drinking yourself to sleep. And she's like, you need to go home. You need to at least go talk to her. And he's like, why do you keep pushing this? And she goes, because you're not done. You know? And he's like, so how come I feel like we are? She goes, because you're not a woman. You know, you don't know what we know. Okay, you don't. And again, it was a little like, again, Alex because he's saying that he's still mad. And Marcy's kind of just like, you need to go home, you need to go home. Like, no, I feel like this is a no. I don't even really think that means he wants to go back to her. I think this is just the wallowing period. Like, my partner was cheating on me for 6 months and they got a child with somebody else. Like, I feel like it's normal to kind of like, I'm not really over the person, but I have to get over them because I can't deal with this. You know, so I don't really think that really means anything. His crying, and this is like recent. It's not like, okay, it's 3 years later and you still drinking yourself to sleep, crying yourself to sleep. Like, no, this is still a recent, and they're not even divorced yet because he's still kind of beating around the bush with that because, you know, he's not really ready to deal with it. But I don't really think this necessarily means, okay, you need to go back to her. But I get what Marcy was saying. I think that maybe he does still want to be with Alex, but I don't really think he thinks that it's okay. So I don't really know if he would go back to her. I personally, I don't know. That's what I'm gonna say. So yeah, he goes, why do you keep pushing this? She's like, because you're not done. He says, so why do I feel like we are? Because you're not a woman. So then she's like, listen, by the time I get back, you should be gone, or you should have been going to talk to her. And you should be back here telling me you went to go talk to her. And then she's like, but if you want to help me out with the rent for a few months, like, that's fine. But so he's like, are you kicking me out? She's like, no, I'm just telling you to go talk to her. You know, that's it. So then she's like, look, I don't really want to talk about this no more. I got to go to work. And, you know, she about to leave. He's like, you ain't gonna give me a kiss goodbye? And she was like, I'm not even coming. And I don't appreciate that. Because it's like, and we already know, because Marcy already said it, and he's agreed, oh, I'm kind of, you thinking about Alex when you're with me. Like, you really wish I was her. And he'll be like, you know, kind of shamefully, yeah. But you keep with the flirtation. I don't like it. I don't like it. And Brad is my homie, but come on, Brad. Really? Like, this is what you do? Okay. So then we switch to Alex's. You know, the girls are all getting up. They're getting ready for work. The kids are downstairs. Nat comes downstairs. She overslept. So Kelly's like, well, look who overslept. She's like, I know. Kelly's like, I know you're excited. I'm going to go get the documents to Ramsey today. He going to have his lawyers look them over. We're going to get the process started so you and Lucia can get y'all house. And then so Esperanza's like, oh, Natalie, what did you need the car for last night? Where'd you go? She was like, girl, Lucian lost something. She's like, oh, that sucks. Then Nat goes over to the kids. She's like, look, kids, I'm not going to be mad. Okay, but just tell me, did you guys remove a disc from off the counter? And it was adorable because one of the kids' responses, the little girl, one of the little girls looked confused, which was also adorable. Then the other one was just like, what's a disc? And the other one was looking like she didn't know what she was talking about. She's got a smile on her face and just rinky-dink, you know, cute. And then, you know, Frank is just like, Mom, nah, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, Mom, I ain't dumb enough to touch nothing, okay? You know, and she was like, you had the cute little mother-son thing. So then they're all about to leave. They're like, okay, you guys, we got to get y'all to the bus stop. So Kelly takes the kids to the bus stop. But just in between, I want to get a little context because this was like in the background, but I noticed it because I thought it was like, so like, I don't know. I liked it. When Justice, you know, he's in front of, you know, his friends. So Kelly's like, give me a kiss. And he's like, Mom. And she's like, boy, give me a kiss. And so he kisses her. She was like, I don't care about that. You better give me a kiss. So then he leaves. And then, you know, they're all like, you know, Mom, I love you guys. See you guys later. And, you know, Paisley comes over to Alex and gives her a hug. Like, okay, Mom, see you later. Love you. And then Alex is like, Peter, like, kind of like, get over here. Give me a hug. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And, like, walks out the door. My mama would have slapped me. I'm telling you, I don't know if it's a black thing. Anyway, I don't want to do that, y'all. We're moving forward. Okay, so then they leaving out. And Esperanza asks you guys, is Peter okay talking to Alex? And Alex is like, he's fine. He just misses his dad. She's like, okay, but are you okay? She's like, just don't. I don't really want to. So Nat goes over to her and kind of hugs her. And she's like, girl, you're going to be fine. And Alex goes, after, you know, watching you for such a long time, I know I'm going to be, you know, all right. And she's like, yes, you will. So then they leave, you know, love you, girl. Peace out, whatever. Get out the door. See the kids again because they're still getting on the bus. And they're like, oh, see you later. And as they're all leaving, Miss Louise is approaching Kelly. So, and Kelly was kind of dry with it too because she's seen her coming. And Miss Louise was like, hey, you know. And Kelly's like, hi. And then Miss Louise is like, can we talk? And she's like, I don't think that's a good idea. She's like, why? She goes, because of your son. She's like, look. And she's like, and Marcy's mad at me? I don't really think that we should be doing this. And she's like, look, I know you're a good friend. Okay, I know you're a good friend. And she would appreciate this, but I really need your help. Because she goes, how do you know that I'm a good friend? And she's like, because I heard the advice that you gave Marcy when her and Randall was, like, still in the same house and, you know. And she's like, well, such, like, good thing for good advice. She won't even talk to me now. You know what I'm saying? So much for that. So then she's like, look, can we just talk? It's not about Randall. And she's like, no, I don't think so. She was like, your son, he's rude, he's obnoxious, he's insulting, he's a liar. She's like, he can be that. And Kelly's like, no, 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 he's consistently that. Like, there's nothing else. He's consistently that. And she's like, okay, look, I don't want to talk about him. I really think I could help her talking about And I was like, who was she? Because at first I'm like, are we talking about Marcy? And then I'm like, okay, we're talking about Alex. Okay, so she's like, we could try and help her. And she's like, I really don't know how. She's like, and you won't unless you help me try. She was like, now Randall, he's the cause of all of this. Yes, I know that, but I really think I can help her. And she's like, Miss Louise, she was like, okay, maybe I'll talk to her later. She's like, no, now I have to go back to Colorado, but every time I want to up and leave, something keeps going. I have to get back home, but something keeps happening, and I want to talk to her maybe. Could you maybe set that up? So she's like, okay, just give me a few minutes. And she's like, all right, I'll be right here. So she goes inside. Okay. Kelly goes in the house, talking to Alex, ask her, how she slept, kind of just a little small talk. And Alex is like, what's your problem? Like, why are you acting so strange? And Kelly's like, what are you talking about? I'm not acting strange. She's like, yes, you are. She goes, is there another processor out there? She goes, no. Randall's mom is out there. She's like, okay. She goes, she wants to talk to you. She's like, no, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to do it. So she's like, come on, like, maybe if you talk to her, she's saying she can help you, so maybe you should just give her a chance, like, just talk to her. And she's like, come on, like, and she goes, maybe you should try and talk to her, because then she could talk to Randall and talk some sense to him. She goes, I've said everything I need to say to Randall. She's like, well, clearly not, because he still hasn't dropped his custody battle. So maybe the mama could say something to him. So then she's like, no, I've said everything I need to say. Is done. Okay, so then Kelly's like, okay, tries to go to the door, tries to leave. And Alex is like, where you going? She's like, I gotta go to work. No. She's going to the door. She's like, all right, I'm gonna go tell her. She's like, just tell her no. So she goes to the door. She's like, all right, I'm gonna tell her. She goes, Kelly. She's like, what? And what is it with Kelly being like like, I don't know. She's always that when you talk to her and then it's like, okay, she persuaded me. Like, I don't know, like she puts you in a trance or something. And that actress, she is a motivational speaker. Edwina Finley. Just wanted to point that out. So, yeah, because nobody else could do it, because she's the one who got Alex to take her medication. She's the one who kind of calmed Marcy down during the whole thing. And, even Alex. So, she's like that calming person, I guess. So then she's like, well, go ahead, let her in. So Kelly's like, are you sure? She's like, no. But if you think it's good advice, then sure. Okay. So then she's like, okay, Miss Louise, come on in. Come on in. So Miss Louise comes in, just... It's kind of small talk at first. Yeah, small talk at first. Kelly tries to introduce Alex, and she's like, I know. And then she goes, so how are you doing? And I didn't really appreciate Kelly's attitude, because then when she goes, how are you doing? Alex kind of gives her death glare, like, did you really just... And then Kelly's like, that's an interesting question. And I was like, come on, Kelly. Just sat, as the Jedi would say. Sat. Because she was a little snippety too, and it was some other parts where she was answering for Alex. I'm sorry, is her mouth glued shut? I don't, you know what I mean? The actress is playing to mess out that role, though. I'll give her that. All right. So then, she come in, she's trying to talk to her, and she goes, I know this is difficult for you, and I just want to apologize for my son. I think he's losing his mind. I used to be able to predict his next move, but I can't now. He's become unpredictable. He's become vindictive. And I don't know what to do. Maybe she was like, maybe he was always this way, but I never seen it. And then I began to think back, and I was like, is there any situation similar to this? She goes, yeah. He was dating a girl in college, and he was in love with her. And he thought that she cheated on him, and he was enraged. She goes, I talked to him, and he finally calmed down. Finally, she said, like, I was talking to him for a while before he could really hear me. And she goes, and he finally heard me and he calmed down. She goes, I guess that's partially why I'm still here. I'm still waiting on him to hear me and calm down. So then Alex is like, no, Kelly's like, well, how's that going for you? And I'm like, come on, really? So then Miss Louise is like, not so well, but I started thinking of ideas, maybe trying to figure out ways where he would be a little bit more calm. What if you let him see the baby? What if you did that? Okay. So then Wait a minute. Okay. So then Alex is like, no. No way. That's not happening. Like, it won't happen at all. So, but wait a minute. Was this before? Hold on a second. Okay. Okay, there was some part in between here, you guys, where she was like, I just want to ask you a question. And she goes, is he Randall's? Because, and I feel like she said, I just want to ask you a question, Alex, because she was tired of Kelly coming from the side and answering. So was I. All right. So, yeah, so Alex is just ignoring her at first, and Kelly's like, come on, Alex, it's okay. And she's like, no, I'm not going to tell her that he's his so that she could take him away from me. And she's like, look, he doesn't even know I'm here. I just want to know, is he Randall's? Can I see him? You know, is he Randall's? And she's ignoring her for a few times, and then she's like, can I see him, please? Like, is he Randall's? And she's like, no, because Kelly keeps trying to convince her, like, come on, Alex, it's fine, it's fine. She's like, no, I'm not letting it happen. So then she's like, please, can I see him? So she slowly starts to turn the baby over. And of course, like, you know, a grandmother, she's like, oh my gosh, you know, he's beautiful. And she goes, may I hold him? So she's like, no. And then Miss Louise is like, okay, I get it. So then she goes, have you ever thought about maybe letting him see the baby? And she goes, no way. It won't happen. She's like, I'm telling you. He's not going to hurt the baby. He loves that child. He's not going to hurt that child. She goes, no. It's not going to happen. She goes, he loves you. She goes, I don't care. She goes, that's the problem. She goes, can you act like you do? Alex is like, I beg your pardon? Miss Louise goes, Randall's the kind of person that needs to be waned. Ever since he was a child, if you take something away from him drastically, he'll act out for months and months at a time. So then she's like, well, if he wants to do that, then she's like, I'm just going to have to pull my last card. I'm sitting up there looking at Alex like, girl, what is your... Like, I get it, but... And then, no, she asked him, she goes, what's the baby's name? She goes, Brad. And Miss Louise was looking like, that's not a good idea, but she ain't really say nothing. Okay? She goes, if you just let him see his son, he gonna drop this custody business like it's nothing. Okay? He gonna do it. And she goes, Randall is a fighter. Okay? That's why he likes testifying in court. He likes conflict. He likes that. So just let him see the child so you can give him peace, and in return, get your peace. And then Alex is like, are you done? She goes, do you want me to be? She's like, yes, I would. She goes, all right, then I'll leave. Walking out, she's like, thank you for trying, Kelly. So Mama leaves. Kelly's about to leave. Alex goes, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to work. Okay. So then she's like, okay, what do you have to say about it? She's like, I'm not saying anything. She's like, but you're thinking something. She goes, you don't want to know what I'm thinking. She's like, so you think that I should let him see the baby? She's like, yeah, Alex, I mean, you did have a baby with him. You know, that was you didn't have a baby intentionally, but you might as well have. So I don't want to try and even victimize her. And then she goes, I'm not going to give him his way. She was like, this isn't about you giving him his way. This is about you giving him his way and getting your way in return. So just pretty much think about you. And let him see this beautiful, beautiful baby. And then she's like, all right, I got to go. I got to get to work. So then she walks over to Ramsey's house. All right. So she knocks on the door, with the documents or whatever. She goes, this is for Natalie's house. Have the lawyers look it over. And, just small talk. And then so they're kind of just standing there for a second. She's like, so can I come in? And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry. And so she comes in. And she's like, so what are you doing? He's like, just unpacking boxes. And she's like, well, I could stay for about an hour if you need me. He's like, no, I'm fine. And she even looked disappointed when he was like, no, I'm fine. She was like, oh, okay. A girl come off the back. Oh, my God, you're never going to believe this. I finally found it. And he's like, I've been looking for this forever. She's like, really? Okay. She's like, I'm going to put this over here. And I even didn't like because I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be coming out that maybe either she's an ex-girlfriend or some kind of family member I didn't love the high that she gave Kelly, because I was thinking, okay, maybe this is like, they're going to say this is his cousin or something. But even because she looked at Kelly, because usually if you don't know somebody, you're like, oh, hi, how are you? She just kind of gave this hi and then walked away with the whatever she had to go put over to the side. I didn't love it. And Kelly said hi. She had an attitude too, but we already knew it was because he had somebody in there. She's like, even when she seen the girl, Kelly's face dropped to the ground. I was like, Kelly, pick your face up. Okay, that's what happened. I'm telling you, it dropped, and we had to go ahead and edit that out. Okay, but I'm telling you, I told Tyler, no, we need to give the audience the... Okay, you guys. Okay, so the girl walks away, and he literally tries to act like nothing. And I didn't love that either, because we know Ramsey is that dude who he thinks he's good looking. Okay, you're not going to tell. He might be a humble dude, but you think you're good looking. So he's that dude. It's not even about taking it slow. I feel like Ramsey knows that she likes him. So now he's kind of doing, no, I ain't going to ask her out yet. I'm going to go ahead and let it simmer right quick. I'm going to go ahead and let it simmer and playing a little bit of games. I don't appreciate it, Ramsey. Okay, but then I don't mind it, because I told Tyler, because Trayvonte, that's his name. I said, I don't want Trayvonte. That's my husband. Okay, I don't want, no, I'm kidding, y'all. But I seriously, I told Tyler, I said, I don't want Trayvonte doing that. I don't need, that's not what I need. Okay, we don't need Trayvonte doing this, that, and the third. All right. So, but Tyler I'll miss one writers meeting, everybody, and Tyler goes ahead and puts this in. All right. I'm just kidding. Okay. So then he literally tries to act like nothing happened. So he goes, okay, so what about these documents? And she goes, just have the lawyers look them over and then send them back to me. She's like, I really gotta go. He's like, oh, wait a minute. Are you sure you have to go? Like, and she's like, yeah, I have to go. I haven't eaten or anything. He's like, but I could whip something. And she's like, no, bye. Thank you. And he was looking like, dang, she rushed off. So then they switched to her. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah. So they switched to her. And we're at Kelly's job. And I didn't love this either, everybody, because I was doubting the believability. Because you're crying over Ramsey. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just the fact like, okay, I was falling for this dude and then now I look like an idiot. Because when I was watching it, I was like, why is she crying? Like, I don't know. I just feel like you haven't known each other for that long. And it's not even that, because I've heard of falling in love and you're not knowing for somebody for that long. You know, they call it love at first sight. But they don't know that much about each other beyond, you know, conversations that they might have had. Like, they've had some heart-to-hearts, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was that, you know, I was falling for this dude and now I was like an idiot again. Maybe something like that. And we don't know yet, so I wish she wouldn't even jump to that yet, you know? And, you know, so she's crying and he's calling her. She's not picking up the phone. You know, it says, you know, 2 messages left from Ramsey. So then I guess Alex calls, because then she wipes her face, picks up the phone. It's Alex. She goes, hey, girl, you know, what's up? And Alex is like, nothing. She's like, are you okay? You don't sound too good. And Kelly's like, yeah, I'm fine. What's up? She goes, I texted Randall. And she goes, did you? She's like, yeah, I texted him. I told him to come over. I just wanted to tell somebody. She's like, I'm going to call you right after he leaves. Okay. She's like, all right. So then there's a knock at the door. She goes, I got to call you back. He's here. Hangs up the phone. It's on Kelly for a little bit. She's still, you know, trying to get this together and everything. And then we switch fully over to Alex. So then, okay, Randall comes in. And he's like, hi. She says, he's right here. Okay. Because he was trying to just do this little funny business. And he goes, listen, I miss you. She's like, do you want to see your son or not? You're here to see him. So then he goes, can I have a hug? And he kind of tried to move toward her. She steps back. She's like, you're here to see him. If you don't want to see him, get out. Okay. So then he goes, you don't even look like you've had a baby at all. She says, you are here to see him. If you're not going to see him, get out. Okay. He's like, I know I'm here to see him. It's really good to see you too. Then he finally looks over at the baby. And he's like, oh my God, he's beautiful. That's my son. I can't believe this. And so he's looking at her. He's like, we did this like this. And she's looking like, you know, I hate when you bring that up. But he keep doing it. Oh, we did this. I can't believe it. And he's literally almost to tears. Which, okay, because this is the first time. I don't like Randall, but this is the first time you've seen your child. All right. So then he's like, oh, what are we going to name him? And he's literally like this, hand over mouth. And then Alex is like, his name is Brad. He goes, no, that's She goes, Bradley. He goes, no. That's not his name. We need to change that. She's like, no, we're not. She goes, that's not happening. And he goes, yes, it is. I want him named after me. And this was a lot of dialogue in this scene, everybody. So then he goes, yes, it is. And she goes, Randall. And he goes, yeah, do me a favor. He goes, anything. She goes, this custody thing, this trying to be in his life, I didn't appreciate that. This trying to change his name, you need to stop. She goes, he goes, well, I am his father, so I should have some rights. Now, stopping there. I did not appreciate when Alex was like, wanting to be in his life. What are you talking about? This is his son. So it was the custody thing and the name, okay. But you just said you're going to try and kind of go in on him for wanting to be in his son's life? Really? Okay, let's keep it moving. So then he's like, I should have some rights to him. And she's like, yeah, but I would hope that we would have discussed that. So it didn't have to come to this. You're calling lawyers on this, that, and the third. You're trying to force your way into his life. And he goes, I want to be in his life. And she's like, yes, we can figure that out as he gets older. And he's like, as he gets older and miss all the good years, him crawling, his first words, da-da-da-da. He's like, no. I'm going to be here now. And he goes, Alex, this custody is figuring out, this is really figuring out what's best for him. Brad hates him. And she goes, Brad and I are getting a divorce. He goes, well, what about your parents? I don't want him around that. How do you think I got this emergency hearing? I told them all about your parents. And she's like, I'm his mother. I'm not going to let anything happen to him. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay? You don't have to worry about that. She goes, and I had hoped that you would have let me decide this, kind of give you like a layout. Okay, you can see him so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, that's not happening. I mean, you knew that. He goes, this child is my legacy. This child is too important. My junior. That's why I can't have him have somebody else's name. And he goes, and I'm not trying to dictate how you'll raise him, but I want custody. I don't want him around your parents. And he's like, guess what? I live right next door. And she goes, unfortunately, you think this child is a link to me, a pawn. But she was like, it's not. This child is not a pawn. It's not a mistake. She goes, and if you look at my track record, I've raised 2 healthy kids already. Okay? I know what to do as a mother. Okay? I know what to do as a mother. And I appreciated her saying you think this child is a link to me, because I do believe he loves that child. Whoop-de-woo-woo-woo. But he is trying to be, he's kind of said it like, I live right next door. You can come over anytime. You know, and kind of just still holding on to that. But then it teases that he's at some point going to be trying to caress Marcy and all the other BS and all of it. I can't, y'all. I mean, garbage and all of it, you know. She goes, what you don't understand is when I first saw this child, I didn't even want to look at him. I didn't even want to look at him because all he did was remind me of what we done and how he was conceived. He goes, he was conceived in beauty. She goes, he was conceived in lies and deceit. And every time I looked at him, that's all I saw. But every time I held him and looked at those hopeless, beautiful eyes, I knew I loved him and I knew this was my son. And this is what I needed to do. Okay, as a mother, this is my son. And you're not going to try and force your way in. You won't do that. Okay, you won't. Okay. So she goes, I fear that you trying to pursue this is going to put our son in harm's way. No, my son, she said. Okay. So he goes, as his father, I have rights. She goes, Randall, listen. He goes, no, you listen. I know you don't have the money to fight this. I know that. So just give me custody and all is well. And she's like, no. That's not going down. You know what I'm saying? That's not about to happen. So the kid starts like kind of crying, I guess. So he picks him up and he's like, that's okay. And let me get this in verbatim, y'all, because she did the story. She was like, did you hear the story about the 2 hikers that came around the bluff and ran into a mother bear and her cub? Just a few seconds before they came around the bluff, they had no idea they were in danger. And as soon as they realized they made an awful mistake, it was too late. She goes, Randall, you're rounding the bluff just like those hikers. And you don't even know you're in danger. And so she goes, may I have my son, please? Your visit is over. And he's like, oh yeah, you can have our son for now. Lo and behold, Brad took Marcy's advice and he's coming in. And he's looking like, wow, like you moved on quick. All he said was, wow. And then Randall turns around on him and he's like, look. And, you know, I can't stand Randall. I can't. I've already decided that, but I've already decided. But y'all, I don't want to get too much into it. But for next week, they're teasing Claudia and Lucian about to be hugged up in the dressing room or locker room, which I know there's a reason behind that. So I'm not like, oh, he's cheating on that. But Esperanza clearly thinks that that's what's going on because Esperanza comes in. All right. I mean, it's heating up, y'all. We got 2 more weeks left. I believe that's what they said. 2 more episodes. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see, y'all. All right. But again, sorry about its lateness. Also, I want to welcome a couple of my new subscribers. Fashionista254. Hey, girlfriend. And Keith Turner. Also, Randy Burrows. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And all my other subscribers. I want to thank you guys so much. Also, the Jedi, because you brought a lot of people here. So I really appreciate that. And it's your girl, Jada J. Peace.